When the little girl came to the zoo, one of the Bengal tigers immediately fixed its predatory gaze on her and literally followed the toddler step by step. The girl's parents, upon learning the true reason for what was happening, were simply amazed. The young couple, Connor and Andrea, along with their 3-year-old daughter Mandy, decided to visit the zoo, where the girl had never been before. Little Mandy loved animals dearly and adored playing with their family dog. During walks, she was always drawn to any living creature as if by a magnet. Seeing this invisible yet strong connection with the animal world, her parents took her to the zoo, confident it would be an unforgettable adventure. Of course, Mandy was overjoyed, cheerfully running from one animal enclosure to another while her parents struggled to keep up. At one point, the adults got distracted by a fiercely growling lion, and when they turned around, Mandy was nowhere to be seen. Andrea screamed in fright, and Connor began searching for the little girl, but she seemed to have vanished into thin air. Suddenly, the couple noticed a group of foreign tourists excitedly discussing and admiring something near the Bengal tiger's enclosure. As they moved closer, they finally spotted their daughter right next to the thick glass. Instead of immediately pulling her away, they let her stay as she was deeply engrossed in what was happening inside. Mandy pressed her hands against the glass, giggling joyfully as she walked back and forth, as if playing with a big striped cat. The most astonishing part was that one of the tigers not only watched her intently but also followed her movements, not with aggression but rather like a curious observer. The foreign tourists also tried hard to catch the graceful predator's attention, but it seemed uninterested in anyone except Mandy. After playing to her heart's content, the girl stopped, pressed her tiny palms and forehead against the glass. Miraculously, the tiger almost perfectly mirrored her, pressing its large furry paws against the barrier and letting out a friendly growl. A man had been watching this entire time. An hour later, as the family prepared to leave, little Mandy convinced her parents to return to the tiger's enclosure. The adults agreed, and the previously napping predator, upon seeing her again, immediately jumped up and approached her. This delighted Mandy, who seemed to view the massive tiger as nothing more than a cute, oversized kitten. A few minutes later, the man who had been observing them introduced himself as Andrew, a zookeeper. He explained that the tiger, named Koshi, had been brought to the zoo from Nepal after being injured by poachers. Leaving him with little chance of survival in the wild. Koshi was placed in an enclosure with other tigers, but the newcomer struggled to adapt, spending most of his time sleeping on a large rock in the corner and showing no interest in his surroundings. That's why today's interaction with the little girl astounded the experienced keeper. He clarified that this wasn't a predator's interest in prey but rather something much closer to friendship. Before this day, the zoo staff had doubted Koshi could ever adapt to captivity, fearing a grim outcome. But his encounter with Mandy proved he still had a spark of life left in him and could be saved. While the girl happily played with her enormous furry friend, Andrew asked the family to visit Koshi as often as possible. Offering them free entry and treats at the zoo. Knowing how much their daughter loved animals, the parents agreed, and Mandy literally jumped for joy at the thought of frequent visits to see her new friend. Months passed and Koshi now eagerly ran to greet Mandy each time. He began eating more and even started interacting with the other tigers. Her parents, too, were delighted as Mandy radiated happiness after every zoo visit. She even declared to her mom and dad that when she grew up, she would become a zookeeper.